Welcome to my channel. Sorry. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you've been watching. Today I'm going to talk about. I think in the past I've talked about a little bit about AI, specifically ChatGPT and such, but I just realized there might be some people that are not familiar with AI or how AI is changing the world, or why. I mean, the real benefits or negatives for that matter. So I'm just going to talk about that very quickly today, just to get it out of get it out in the open. Chances are a lot of people have already talked about it, written about it, and such, but this is my dumbed down version, basically. Now, artificial intelligence is like the ability for the machines to perform tasks that normally require like humans or human intelligence, uh, such as understanding a language, recognizing images, making decisions, and learning from the data. Um, it's everywhere nowadays, like in your smartphone, your smart home, even in Netflix, honestly, because like with Netflix or even Google, because a lot of these are recommendation engines. So that's considered what we initially considered to be machine learning, but now it's becoming more and more, a little bit more advanced, that it's now starting to learn some of those recommendations and starting to apply those recommendations for you based on some of the data, historical data they have on you. So that's why machine learning has, I would say, matured into the artificial intelligence world, specifically with Netflix when it comes. And so, I mean, Netflix and such are still recommendation engines as well as Amazon as well too. Um, but I mean, it is transferring a lot of domains and applications. Like healthcare, healthcare is the biggest thing right now. I mean, you've seen it. For those that believe it, what BioNTech and Moderna did, which was RNA stuff, RNA related stuff. It was using AI though, or machine learning, to identify the machines to identify the proteins very quickly. And what I mean by proteins, it's more of a case where like these protein sequences. Usually, a lot of these cases you can identify. Like you have a list of them, all these genes. But the question is, what protein sequences do you know? And like you can run specific experiments on it computationally versus non-computationally, like actually prodding and poking and like doing organics and that aspect. But for that takes a while, whereas you can do it because of the fact that all these genes are sequenced now, to a point where it's all stored digitally. You can run computational experiments against them to see, okay, which ones are the ones that are most likely to have the bigger issues, or the defective sequence, or mutated sequence that are causing the disease, or keeping the disease around, or mutating it even more, basically, at that point. And then, of course, education plays a big factor. Entertainment is the biggest aspect nowadays. I mean, you'll see machine learning applying into machine learning. I mean, reality is machine learning is being used for those CGI related. I mean, yeah, you are using a little bit of machine learning when it comes to CGI aspects, but now you're probably going to be using, machine learning, or AI in this case, to generate scripts, or even create more movies for that matter. Um, and then, of course, the business aspect as well too. Like, I mean, anywhere and everywhere, practically in the business world, you'll be using it. Now, how does it work basically, and what are the benefits and negatives of using it? I mean, in this video, I'm going to show maybe three examples of AI that are amazing, fascinating, and sometimes scary. Sorry. Now there's ChatGPT, which is everyone's been hearing about lately, of course. There's DALL-E, DALL-E, and I should be putting up a thing right here for you guys to see, basically, like behind me. But my videos, I try to make them straightforward, quickly, and usable for you guys to use. And then, of course, there's AI chatbots as well too. When I say AI chatbots, these are like stuff that can be like basically Google, the smart homes, or smart speakers such as Alexa, Google, Siri, such, and as well as through the web interfaces as well too. But let's just start first and foremost. The first example is, let's say, ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT, of course, is, as you heard or read, if you haven't, is by OpenAI's GP3 language model. Now, it can generate some realistic and creative text from any prompt. uh, ChatGPT can be used for, like, usually general conversations, Q and questions and answers, friendship, and more. Many many more. I don't want to get into all of them, but as an example, like, you can chat with Chat GPT about your hobbies and your dreams, your problems, or anything else for that matter. ChatGPT can generate poems, which we're starting to see, as well as stories, jokes, lyrics, many more. Um, like, in reality, you can actually, if you are one of those people that love to write stories and put them as ebooks and sell them out, nowadays you can just use ChatGPT or GPT-3 to do that for you, where you just push it out, let it, generate the story, and then you just push it out basically into Amazon or whatever publishing aspects there is, and sometimes it might be good. Poems and jokes might be even good as well too. I mean, I'd be interesting to see if, like, some comics start using ChatGPT or GPT-3 to create some jokes. And music lyrics, it's becoming much more sophisticated now, that it's starting to realize, some people are having a hard time determining, was this created by a human or was this created by machines. Now, like, here's an example for a poem. Basically, you might ask ChatGPT to, like, write a poem about love, and it's one of those things I actually typed in, and here's what it said basically: Love is a feeling that fills the heart with joy and warmth and light. Love is a bond that connects two souls with trust and respect and delight. Love is a journey that never ends, with ups and downs and twists. Love is a gift that never fades, with memories and moments and bliss. Now, that was pretty impressive, actually. And sorry I had to read that for that part, but that was pretty impressive, actually. And now, I did one time actually ask ChatGPT to, like, tell me a joke, and it actually says, like, what do you call a fish that wears a bow tie? Sophisticated. I was like, corny jokes, but it still is there. Now, if you were to ask ChatGPT to write you a short story about a unicorn, one of the things that actually posted up for me here, this, and I'm gonna have to read it verbatim. Give me a second. Once upon a time, there was a unicorn named Sparkle. Sparkle lived in a magical forest with her friends, with the fairies, the elves, and other unicorns. Sparkle loved to explore the forest and discover new things. One day she found a rainbow that led to a hidden treasure. She followed the rainbow and reached a cave that was filled with gold, jewels, and other precious items. Sparkle was amazed by the sight and decided to take some of the treasure for herself. She picked up a necklace that had a pendant shaped like a star. As soon as she put it on, she felt a strange sensation. She looked at herself and realized that she had turned to human. She was shocked and scared and didn't know what to do. She tried to take off the necklace, but it was stuck. She realized that the necklace was cursed and that she had to find a way to break the spell. She decided to go back to the forest and ask her friends for help. When she got there, no one recognized her. They thought she was an intruder and chased her away. Sparkle was sad and lonely, and she wished she could be a unicorn again. She wondered if she would ever find a way to reverse the curse and return to her normal life. Now, as you can see, ChatGPT was very impressive and sort of impressed. It was impressive the way that it created that quick short story. Now, there are, of course, some drawbacks to ChatGPT as well too, which people are starting to use at this point as well too. Like, it's not always reliable or accurate, or maybe something ethical, depending on how the checks and balances are put in place for that. Um, as well as the fact is like with ChatGPT, of course, it's data up to 2021. So anything between 2022 and current, it's not going to be there, because remember, machine learning is dependent on data, historical data, and the processing, generating these models that you need based on that historical data. Now, models are basically a way of what you would consider to be sort of output algorithms to know, like, how to go about processing the data, and then what you want to get out of it as a result. And sometimes you have to iterate it or go through it quite a number of times in these models to actually, for it to finally figure out at that point. Now, it's sometimes with ChatGPT, it doesn't understand the context or intent of use of the user. Basically, sometimes, I mean, you can use it to write some hate speech as well too, and it doesn't know. Uh, it can, it's definitely done in the past, generated some like inappropriate, offensive, hateful, or harmful material. Um, and one of the other aspects is, remember, like, because of this, it actually is using historical information or historical data or data from, to build these models. It may inadvertently, or not inadvertently, but like, copy or plagiarize from existing sources. And now that's the other factor too, as well as with the data itself, is like, what are the sources of the data? If you're coming from reliable sources, yeah. If you're coming from horrible sources, you're going to get that same type of information basically as well too. Um, as I said, it just learns from the data, and so you have to be careful how you generate information or gather information from Chat GPT-3, and then from this perspective. Now, there is another example of AI, which is DALL-E. Now, that was another big one. Before ChatGPT came out, DALL-E was a bigger one. It was able to create realistic images and art from a description in natural language that you would type in. Basically, you would type in something. You would type in something to the point where, give it a description, like Batman riding a motorcycle in a dark, dreary, rainy road, with the background drop of Gotham City in the dark, and it might generate an image for that at that point. Um, Now, of course, DALL-E is still based off the GPT-3, but off a different set of data points or training data. Like, it's pretty much, off of images and such at that point. Um, it can be used for like visual communication, entertainment, which people are wondering about now, is like, when, people will start using this to generate movies. Um, it's possible, or even, cartoon shows. Um, you can actually have it, as I said, like, that was one of the examples was Batman, but another example is like a cat wearing a hat, or a pineapple pizza, or a unicorn in a spacesuit, whatever it may be. It can be done in that aspect, and it can draw a lot of stuff in a decent amount of ways. Now, of course, there's the other aspect of the AI chatbots. The AI chatbots, of course, are one thing where, it's not. The chatbots are still a constant learning aspect, basically. It's one of those things where it responds to questions that you ask. That's no different from, like, Siri, the smart speakers basically right now. But it's not as intuitive as what it was like with GPT-3. Now, incorporating that will change a whole different story. Where, like, like Siri and all the others might be much more intuitive, much more, I want to say, more geared towards general conversations. Um, and that will be an interesting aspect to see how it works with that, as well as, like, as far as like these helpers, like, in this case with Microsoft Office, if you remember Clippy, you could see something like that coming along the ways as well too. um, but I know, anyways, in that aspect, in that case, it's just a quick overview of what I just talked about. If you do have any more questions, I'm glad to help, or to point you to the right directions of where you should get that better information from. Hopefully, it helped alleviate some problems. If I didn't, I'm truly sorry about that. But please, leave your thoughts as well as your questions in the comments. I do read my comments and I do respond to them. And I also ask, please, if you did like this video, please subscribe and like the video. And if, please subscribe to the channel. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and unrehearsed. Until next time.